The Raptors fall to the Pacers. 127-125 is the final. Welcome to Raptors Tonight. Live from Real Sports, I'm Randy Urban, joined by Paul Jones, Sherman Hamilton, and Alvin Williams. I like that. Hey, thanks, buddy. Thanks, buddy. This guy,
Enthusiastic live studio audience.
Yeah.
Say it one more time.
Who's the drunk in the corner?
Say my name one more time.
Alvin Williams.
Alvin, okay.
Yeah,
It always sounds like you say Elvin.
I think he does.
Say what? What do you think I said?
Elvin Williams.
Alvin?
Just the accent.
That's what I said.
It's your accent, yeah. It's all good.
Sure.
Nope.
Close. Good game down the stretch. How did it slip away for the Raptors?
I mean, it was one of those games where I feel like a little bit more maturity in the clutch situations. You know, I thought RJ got a very good look.
Got a great look.
A makeable shot. I thought that was executed well, and you live with that. You know?
How many times does he make that shot?
Yeah, you live with that. It's just
It's good defense, too.
Well, I mean, but he had like a 6-foot
He had an 8
turnaround
foot.
in the lane.
He was at the
it's a
dotted
very-
line with nobody on it.
And the contest wasn't high.
Yeah.
The contest was on the ground. Once he elevates, he's good. He's got a clean shot.
Yeah.
Just doesn't make it.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, young players have to go through that to grow, and they'll get better from it. So I like what I saw from him.
Did you like the play?
Yeah, I like the play. But to your point, Indiana locked down on defense. They took away the initial action. Looked like it was supposed to be like a flare screen for Scottie over top.
Right.
And they took it away through switching and fighting over and ended up with a one-on-one play where ideally you would like the action to take place a little sooner. So if he does miss, you can get an offensive rebound and get that opportunity. But Indiana, you know, we were critical. I was critical all night of the defense, but that one possession, they locked in.
Yeah.
So, but I'll take this shot as well.
Yeah.
They're reminding me of some of the teams back in the Phoenix Suns 7 seconds or less. They are. They go up and down. They are last in the NBA in field goal percentage defense, allowing teams to shoot 50%. So you're going to get that. So what does it take for them? Just what they got tonight at the end. A key stop. They're not going to stop you all the time. They're just like, okay, when we need to stop you, we're really going to try.
So what is wrong with their defense? Like, is it lack of effort? Why does this team consistently give up, 125 points per game?
I think because they want to outscore you.
Yeah, it's a style of play.
They want to put a lot of points on the board. And sometimes, as we saw back in the day, when teams wanted to score a lot, they'd rather it come through the net, they take it out and push it up the floor, and have to grind down a shot clock and play a slower paced game. And Indiana wants to get up and down, shoot the ball, lots of threes, and they were plus 33 from the three-point line tonight. So it just shows you they only took one less shot than the Raptors. So they're just playing a volume game from the three-point line. If they can continue to shoot it, defense will be spotty and very selective, but you won't find consistency from a defensive perspective.
The old school coaches, the guys that played that way, Paul Westhead, Mike D'Antoni with the Suns. As Sherm said, there were times when they would say, don't foul. Like when a guy's got a, just let him score the two, let's get it out, let's go. Let's keep the game going. And to be honest, part of their defense is the wrong player taking the wrong shot at the wrong time from the wrong place. And if they can get the rebound, that's their stop.
Right. Al, sustainable in the playoffs?
No.
Not even close.
You want to think about it?
Not even close.
You want to think about it?
No, I mean, you look at the teams that they're right with. When you talk about their defensive ratings, the Wizards, the Pistons, Hornets.
Right.
I mean, that shows you, right? Like, offensively, you're going to have your good moments, and you have your strategy, but at the end of the day, you're going to have to get stops. The game slows down in the playoffs.
Bingo.
The game shrinks in the playoffs. There's less possessions, and there's more attention to detail, usually on the defensive end. So if you don't do that, they remind me a lot of Sacramento Kings last year. Sacramento Kings are really good offensively, and then you run into a team where you're going to have to get defensive stops. It's going to be very challenging.
Right.
I thought Steve Clifford said it best when he was in here, and you kind of walk down the hallway and you talk to Cliff, like Carlisle, an old school kind of coach. And I said to him, I remember saying to him, Cliff, like, are we ever going to see it? We settle for a guy taking a pull-up three in transition when 8-10 years ago, that sits a guy on the bench, not for that game, but for the next game and the game after. And now you live with it. And I said to him, is it ever going to slow down? And like Alex, he said, yeah, every year, the third week of April.
Yeah.
Sherm, Siakam's first game back in Toronto. What did you think about the Raptors' defense against him? He got going there in the second half, it felt like.
Yeah, first half might have been emotions.
Right.
Credit the Raptors' defense somewhat. But second half, he showed why he's an all-NBA player at one point in his career and you know, why he's a guy who can get it done at the end. I mean, he had, 15 of his 23 in the second half when it mattered?
Yeah.
And, I mean, he went on a 7-8-0 run in that third quarter by himself.
Yeah.
And helped Indiana take the lead, and then he had tough finishes throughout the end of the game. So it's not a surprise. We've seen him do it before, and especially in a situation where you have no Miles Turner, no Benedict Mathurin, and then you lose. Who got hurt in the game? Neesmith, yeah. I mean, you lose. Those are three players that Indiana really relies on offensively, and they weren't there. And Pascal stepped in, and that's probably one of the reasons why they got a Pascal who could offset a Haliburton and Mathurin and Miles Turner and a guy who could just go get it on his own. He did it to his old team tonight.
So, Al, how do you think that he fits into what they're trying to do, and does he fit in well to what Indiana's trying to do?
No doubt about it. He, with Tyrese Haliburton brings that spacing element. If you even see where Tyrese Haliburton sets up, not where he actually shoots, he sets up way behind the three-point line. You have to defend him because he's catching the ball, he can catch a shoot, or he can catch a drive. You got to defend him. That opens up driving lanes. But talking to the coach, Lloyd Pierce, assistant coach, he said what Pascal brings is when the play breaks down, they didn't have one person that could get the ball and go get their own. Even Tyrese, as talented as he is, it has to be through a pick and roll action.
Right.
With Pascal, somebody give me the ball, can draw a double team, find others. So he definitely is a good pickup.
And that's something that is way more beneficial in the playoffs, right?
No,
that type of action.
If you have a guy that when everything breaks down and the scouting report is the scouting report, but you have a guy that can make a play, that can draw two, find an open guy, create double teams, like that's huge.
But Jonesy, watching Haliburton, I'm like, it's amazing what he can do with just a little bit of space. This kid is,
I got to tell you,
supremely talented.
When in his draft year, and I always reflect back on this, we had Seth Greenberg from ESPN on our show, and there was a lot of talk about how the draft would filter out, and unabashedly, he came out right away and he said, I'd pick, and this is a guy that watches college basketball all the time, lives it, he coached it. He came out in that year and said, I'd take Tyrese Haliburton number one. And people kind of looked at him like, and here we are, 4 or 5 years later? Like if you had to do that draft over again, he's going closer to the top than he was.
What do you think?
There you go number two for sure.
Yeah.
It was
Anthony Edwards, and then they weren't sure, right?
Yeah.
So, Sherman, put into words what this guy does. Like, how does he distinguish himself from some of these other great point guards we have in the NBA?
I think when he came to Indiana, their ability to open the floor up and just let him kind of freelance a bit, use his creativity, really helped him. And, you didn't, coming from a guy who understands in terms of how to play the game, you saw more of that from him. You saw more of his ability to be more versatile. Didn't know he could shoot it that well. And when he's shooting it from deep, it's a problem. When you're 6 feet behind the three-point line, you got to defend somebody. That player becomes much quicker off the dribble now because there's more space to get in the middle. There's more time to make decisions. The defense has to rotate further to get to him and close out. And, he kind of reminds me of the way Steve played. The effortless movement of the ball around the floor. The ball doesn't stick with him. He makes a play, he gets off of it, he relocates, he's ready to play again. That type of basketball, to me, when a guy can shoot it like that, is very dangerous. And if Steve shot the ball more in his career, he would have been more dangerous offensively as well. And I think guys like him, like Haliburton, know I got to score. I got to score to keep him honest, and he will score a ton. But he wants to move the ball, and he does it well.
I think that's the old school point guard mentality in that sense, right? Like, I'm going to get everybody involved, and when you forget about me, I'm going to hurt you, and just remind you that you need to guard me. And, again, I reflect back on all of this draft stuff. Steve Kerr worked out Tyrese Haliburton. He loved him. And he said, whoever drafts him, don't worry about what the shot looks like. Don't mess with it. Because this kid's got it down. He's shot this way his whole life. So just leave it alone. Don't try to change it. And we're seeing that now still.
Bounce back game for Scottie tonight, Alvin. Well, I mean, people call it a bounce back game. I feel like he still ended up with a decent game last game. It's clear when you watch him that he could be the best player on the court any night, right? Like when he makes buckets, it doesn't look like it's taxing him too much.
Right. No, I mean, his versatility is his special sauce.
Yeah.
Like when you have a player that can impact the game in multiple ways without calling a play for him, he can, like people underestimate, Jackson had a layup, he came from behind and blocked that allowed the Raptors to have that opportunity to tie the game. So, you know, he's getting better, and his biggest thing is finding that balance. He's a facilitator at heart. And that's one of the biggest challenges, getting a facilitator to be more selfish, trying to score the ball. So you look at LeBron James. Like LeBron James is a facilitator at heart. And there's times where he done made some of the passes and people criticized him and things like that.
Takes a lot of heat for that.
Yeah, so he'll figure it out. Once again, he's still young. Most importantly, I like his attitude today. I like his energy. It wasn't directed to the referees. It wasn't bad body language. It was, we're trying to win a game, and he was trying to lead the charge. So I like this approach from the beginning to the end.
I think this weekend's going to be real good for Scottie.
Yeah, for sure.
He will go to the All-Star game. He will be around the stars of all the stars. Yep, greatness.
Greatness.
They'll. It's like a CEO's convention. We talked about it. They'll trade insights. One of the older guys will say, "Hey, I like this young guy." Get in his ear, give him some stuff. This is great for him to be there and be around it and be practicing with those guys, in the locker room with those guys, at events with them, all of those things, because it gives you an idea of like, hey, wait a minute, I'm the face of the franchise and this is what these guys do? Okay. It will either reinforce or kind of impact his improvement and his development.
Well, this
it's a big
time,
weekend.
This time, I mean, he's going to sit at the grown folks' table.
Yes.
Last time he went, he sat at the kiddies' table.
Yeah.
This time he's going to sit with the big people.
Yeah, I sat at the kids' table in my family.
Still are.
For a long time.
Still are.
A long time. We had a big family. But just going back to what you said, like, that's a tough thing to do, to balance those two super skills, right? So is that just experience, or how do you get better at that? Just different situations, okay, I've seen this before, I've seen that before, and I know what I did and it worked?
One's a skill.
Yeah.
Right? That he has. And that's a natural skill that he has. The other one has to be developed. And sometimes it's not just him. It's putting the right people around him. So that would alleviate some of those pressures of him having to score.
Right.
LeBron James, he goes to Miami, he has Dwayne Wade. He goes to Cleveland, has Kyrie Irving. So he has another scorer. He has somebody else that, you know what, I give you the ball and you go ahead, right?
Yeah.
And I'll manage games in a different way or a different aspect. So you understand who he is. I don't like when you try to take a young player and make him something that he's not. Let him develop into it. Let him be who he is and develop. But also, if he's that talented and you have that much faith in him, put pieces around him where he can be the best version of himself, and then other people can alleviate some of the pressures.
That's kind of what they're doing with Victor, right? Like Papa's talked about, we're just kind of letting him marinate out there and seeing what we have, right? Like I think Scottie's the same thing. All right, let's pause it there for now and welcome in our fan of the night. Please give a round of applause to Nicole Mitchell. Come on in, Nicole. Bring it in. Where are you? There you are. Come on in. Have a seat. All right. This is your microphone.
Thank you.
This is Sherman Hamilton, Alvin Williams.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
And
nice to meet you.
Paul Jones.
Same here.
Good to be here.
All right. You got a question or a comment for the panel?
Yeah, I'm sort of wondering, Scottie's obviously going to the All-Star, and, we've got this new player, Barrett, and he's doing great pretty consistently. He had a bit of a rough spot there towards the end of the game today, but do we see any potential for him maybe to do an All-Star in the future?
Ooh, good question. Sure. Want to start with that?
Sure. It's possible. I mean, he comes in as a scorer, but he's doing other things. He's making plays. He's doing a good job in terms of facilitating, moving the basketball. I mean, his game is going to continue to round out. We know he can put a lot of points on the board. So if his game continues to build and the team he plays on continues to win, I think he'll have an opportunity. but it's just got to be that consistent season for him. And right now, being a young player, he's going to continue to work towards being consistent. We're seeing all the young guys try to figure that out. So he has the potential for sure at some point in his career.
What he's doing here, this is not new. We've seen it in other places. In New York, he was with two guys that had the ball way more than he did. And when he got it, I think there was a certain, I better do something. I got the ball now. I don't know when I'm going to get it again. And I don't think you're seeing that as much here. And it's going back to, as Sherm said, I can do all of these different things. Ultimately, winning is going to help determine that. Because if you're impacting winning or you're putting up good numbers on a winning team, people look at you differently. They put you in a different frame of mind in terms of the whole all-star, all-NBA, upper echelon of a player. So I think he's got to continue to develop and he's got to impact winning.
What do you think, Al?
I mean, they both said it. And also just the inner workings of the NBA, they have a select group of people that is going to get selected every year. And there's a lot of politics that come behind it. There's a popularity that comes with it. Jonesy said it, you got to win. In some cases, you don't have to win, depending on who you are. So
Yes.
there's so many moving variables to get identified as an all-star. That's why, for me, when you identify somebody as an all-star, it's kind of like, all right, because it's not always the best player. And it's a lot of politics to go behind that, right? So will he have the ability? Will he have the opportunity playing? For sure. And hopefully things have fallen in his favor.
After a bit more time, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, he's still young. He's still very young. And he continue for here, he's getting better. And I think he's going to be a key piece. If this team, when this team becomes more successful, he'll be a big key to that, I think.
So what's your game like? Are you an all-star level? Because you got to spin and shoot for a prize here tonight.
See how it goes.
Okay, all right.
Get the tickets, Nicole. Get the tickets.
I like your energy. Let's go. Let's make the walk.
Land on
Make
the
the walk.
tickets.
So first of all, you just got to spin. Give it a good spin. Then there's some prizes on there. If it lands on the basketball, we don't have it. So we'll get you to spin again. What do we got? Socks, gift card, Yeti cup, scarf. All right, nobody's won the scarf
great.
yet. Here, you got to shoot for it though.
Scarf?
Yeah.
What kind of
Yeah,
scarf?
It's like pretty close. You can bounce it. It doesn't bounce.
Oh, yeah, she got the form, yeah.
There it is. All right, nice job.
Yeah,
All right.
good shot. Good
Here's the
shot. I
scarf,
saw it.
Nicole. You want to just
That's
show
a
it to
nice
the camera,
scarf.
and then you can give a little shout out to whoever's watching. Oh, putting it on. I like it.
Yeah, there we go.
What do you got? What do you got? Shout out.
Hi, everybody.
Junior version of a scarf.
I don't know who's watching, but enjoy the evening.
I love it. Thanks, Nicole. Nice to meet you.
Thank
All
you.
right, all right. See you later. Good job. All right. One and done. I like that. Takes the shot, makes it.
Bang.
Let's talk about Chris Boucher. Hasn't played in quite some time. Gets in there, immediate impact, Jonesy.
Did you think it would be any different? Right?
No, I didn't.
I mean, with Chris, I know he hasn't played in a while. Stay professional. And he's a guy that when he gets in the game, stuff happens. And I just think about Chris. He was waiting for his opportunity. Now he's in there. I'm going to make things happen. Yeah, what do you have, 10 points in 11 minutes? Really active on the offensive end. Around the glass, has a knack for the ball. So the fact that this happened tonight and he hadn't played in a few games didn't surprise me.
He did something to warrant some more playing time next time?
Not really. He does what he does, right?
Yeah.
That's what he does.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he's the player that he'll do what he does. He'll come in off the bench, or he'll come in without playing, still do what he does. The coach will have faith that he's going to do it. And then apparently he's the player that's not going to rock, cause any waves. He's not going to come in and curse the coach out or come to practice with attitude. So when you have players like that, unfortunately, a lot of times the coach will take those guys for granted because they're not making a situation uncomfortable. So if I'm a coach and I know every time I play this guy, this is what he's going to give me. If I don't play him, and when I ever decide to play him, he's going to give me that. So it's consistent. The coach has his trust. But when you're a player that play off of energy, and a game like tonight was an energetic game, it fits him. It fits him. But he's a player that's going to impact the game one way or another, right? And a lot of times he does it from an energy standpoint, gets put back, gets your second opportunities, runs the floor. So you love what he does. And unfortunately, again, and Norm Powell was that guy to me. Like Norm Powell was a guy that would play well, then he wouldn't play, then he'd get his minutes. But every time he came in, you knew what you're going to get, right? So a lot of times, unfortunately, those are the type of players, and you hear it a lot. Nice guys finish last sometimes. And I'm not saying he needs to go in there and start cursing people out, but he's being a professional, and sometimes that's get taken advantage of.
And I mean, he is in a tough spot too because they're looking at some other guys just to see what they have too.
Yeah,
right?
it's just one of those situations, man. But
Yeah.
He's a guy that it may not warrant more playing time here, but he's gaining trust, and everyone around the league, they take notice.
Right.
So, you never know. You're not just playing for your team.
Right.
You're playing for the other 29
Right.
teams as well.
Right. Grady Dick's been on a nice little roll lately. What are you seeing from him that's standing out?
He's doing a lot of things.
Yeah.
He's not just shooting it, but he's shooting it well.
Confidence is there. You
Yeah,
can just tell.
he looks much, much more comfortable. And that shows in his shot, that shows in his shot decisions. The attack off the dribble, he's putting the ball on the floor, he's making plays for teammates. And even finishing around the basket. He's making some tough finishes.
That was a tough one.
That was behind the and the one behind the head on McDermott. Like, these are tough finishes, but we're getting a chance to see that he has more of a complete game than we might have thought he had. And the more reps he's getting, it's not exposing anything, it's proving more. Sometimes guys get more shots, more minutes, and you're like, maybe you weren't ready for that.
Right.
Grady looks like he's ready for it, and he's taking full advantage of it, and he's playing well.
This looks sustainable too, the way he's playing. Like he doesn't look like he's
Yeah.
out of his body or anything.
Yeah, it's no Jeremy Lin situation where you're like, at some point, the air has to come out of this balloon.
Right.
He's just doing things with a consistent level, and he's doing it by thinking his way through it.
Did
It's
you
not
just take a shot
happening.
at Jeremy Lin?
No.
NBA champion.
But you just knew he wasn't going to dominate the league the way he was for 82 games. You just knew it.
He turned in.
He had a great run, though.
Yeah.
did.
He had the best run I've ever seen in my life.
100%, but it wasn't
but it didn't
sustainable.
last.
That's the truth.
But he
Look,
turned into a pretty nice player.
I would say this about Grady. What I'm seeing is on the timetable, he's finally adjusted to the speed, physicality
Yes.
of the NBA game.
Yeah.
He understands now. I got to be a little better prepared on that shot. It's got to be out of my hands a little quicker.
Yeah.
I've got to be a half a beat quicker on defense. Just little things where I wouldn't say he looked lost, but he just looked a little out of place
Right.
early on. That's not happening anymore.
Right. All-Star break plans? You guys fired up for a little time away from the game?
It's always good to recharge and
Recharge,
reset.
yeah.
I'm good with that. I'm good with that. Yeah, I'm good with that.
This
You're on a
guy,
recharge, aren't you?
I'm on a recharge.
You're on a
Yeah,
recharge.
started about 2 seconds ago when I tried to fist bump.
I want to rewind.
Before we go, I've been meaning to say, Carlos Benavides, shout out to you. He said, I love Raptors from Costa Rica. Pura Vida
Nice.
Raptors.
Costa Rica.
I
you got a
appreciate
spot for
that.
us over All-Star break,
Hey,
Carlos?
I love that. All right. Next game for the Raptors back here February 22nd when they host the Brooklyn Nets. Tip-off goes at 7 p.m. Eastern. Don't forget, come on by Real Sports after the game. Be a part of the show. Thank you for watching. See you next time.